Hey guys, it's Joey for Witches of the Moon, and today I am going to be talking about meditation. And I thought, given the vastness of the subject, I would provide a couple of definitions that sort of key point the two sort of ways of looking at meditation. And then I will progress from that to my own personal experiences with it, because that's all I can really offer on the subject. So let's do that first. Okay, a 1913 edition of the Webster's Dictionary offers it as a close or continued thought, the turning of the revolving of a subject in the mind, serious contemplation, reflection and musing, whereas the modern version gives a definition as the discourse intended to express its author's reflections or to guide others into contemplation. So it's actually interesting how the older definition seems to be more broad and the newer definition seems to be a bit limiting within dictionary terms. There seems to be two sort of ideas behind meditation. One is to contemplate through thinking, through the consideration of something, and the other is the opposite, to contemplate without thought. And it can often be found within medical dictionaries as an aid for stress and anxiety relief, in order to find deep relaxation and balance within oneself. So I'm then going to move on from that idea to discuss a little bit about what I feel meditation is, can be, and experiences with it. So I think it's easily both, because if something is troubling me or I get a feeling about something, I quite often focus on the issue at hand until the feelings and contemplations sort of bubble up within me. So say I was thinking about subject X, if I should, I don't know, if I should say I was taking a job and there was something about it bothering me, and then I would focus on that issue until whatever it was as a feeling sort of came up into the sort of conscious mind. And I am very sort of verbal and vocal within how I do everything anyway. I read and I write, and therefore focusing on that helps the words to come out and helps me come to a state of realization. And it's a way of allowing thought association, of allowing words, thoughts, feelings and processes to all come to the forefront of the mind to help better understanding. It's a little bit complicated for me to express properly within sort of the realms of words, but I think this is a kind of meditation which is quite often not vocalized or written down when you read books on the subject matter. It's very much light a candle, stare at the candle, allow images to come to mind, or put music on, just to relax and delve into yourself. Whereas I think you can meditate with a sort of focus on a particular issue or word or concept or idea. And say you were trying to become inspired through the ideas of meditating on an idea, so you focus on the base of wherever you want to start from. So say you wanted to create something using the concept of love, for example, and you knew you wanted to use rose petals in it in some way, for example, and then you could focus on associations. So if you were focusing on rose petals, you could have rose petals in front of you. You could just sort of visualize it within your mind. Visualization, whilst not exactly meditation, is a powerful tool. I've never had any trouble with visualization. Again, I read a lot, I write a lot, so I have a very overly active imagination. So I've never had any problems with visualizing things. If someone says orange, I can just poof, and I can see an orange, you know. And I understand some people have more trouble with holding that image in their heads, but that's a personal experience and it takes practice, I suppose, like anything else does. But with the thought association, you could focus a rose in your mind of what you associate with love. So for an awful lot of people it would probably be a red rose, but whether or not it was a single red rose, whether or not it was petals, whether or not it was a bunch of flowers, whether it was growing in nature, whether it was growing up a trellis in a garden, whether it was in a vase, all these things, and you sort of go through those thought processes. Where are those thoughts coming from? What do they mean to you? Why are you coming up with those feelings, thoughts, images, associations? And it's a way of contemplation through meditation. Then of course there is the opposite of this, which is using meditation to reach a state of calm and balance. And the idea of that is it's forcing out all the outside world around you, forcing out the worry, forcing out the stress, forcing out your mind from being overly active and focusing on problems, and just allowing some calm within yourself. For that can often be a little bit more difficult for me, and it's not something that I often overly engage in, because to be perfectly honest, I tend to work through in a sort of narrative sort of concept. It's like, if I'm worried about something, then I just work through it at my own way, in my own pace, and I don't often feel the need to push all things out anymore, because I have been through the circumstance where everything was overwhelming and survived, and so I now have things in place to help me when things are overwhelming, and I can't always just completely blanket my mind. I have a very strong verbal narrative even within my own head, and it's not really very peaceful for me to do it. I do sometimes do it, and when I do it I will probably have classical music on, and what I do in that circumstance is go and find a comfortable space, usually in the dark, and put classical music on. Excuse me. So classical music, and I would close my eyes and I would just take the music into my mind and allow images and imagery and feelings to come from the music into my sense of being, rather than having my mind go pop, 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 pop. And that is how I personally use that, as that calming, de-stressing, balance thing. And then of course you can take into account things like breathing and slowing your breath down, slowing the heart down, slowing your whole rhythms down, just to calm down. But I'm not a very angry person, generally speaking. It takes an awful lot to get me riled up, and so I don't tend to get agitated that easily, and when things do irritate me, I have, I know how to deal with it within myself, so it's a very difficult way of putting it across to somebody else. As with regards to telling somebody how to meditate, I think it's an incredibly personal experience that you cannot dictate to anyone else. So, guided meditations might help some people, and if they help you, embrace them and use that tool. It's there, it's available to you. But don't feel bad about it if you can't use guided meditations, if you find some of it a bit pressing, if you don't want people, you don't want to listen to tapes with people telling you what images are soothing to you, then you're going to only become more irritated by listening to those sorts of images and videos and whatever. So you have to take into account what you find calming, what you find soothing, and it can just be going out for a walk in nature can be an incredibly meditative experience, where you just go and let your thoughts just go and just enjoy the walk in nature. And I think that is one of the best ways for most people to do it, because you're going out, you're experiencing nature rather than stressing out in your head. The exercise gets your body flowing those endorphins, getting your body moving, your heart pumping, your energy flowing around in a different way, cleanse your head out. So I'm a big fan of sort of active meditation rather than the whole I'm going to sit and nothing in my head, and because I don't know if it's just I'm a on the go kind of person. Because I don't think that either, because I think I can sit and be very, very still, but I think my mind is very rarely still, so I need to, for me, find a way of bringing meditation in with an overly active mind that is just as calming as, say, sitting and trying to force everything out. And it's not for everybody, granted. Some people will get on with the whole sit and calm and breathe and bring it down and listen to the guided meditations and whatever. And if people can, that's fantastic, you know, embrace whatever works for you. But if you can't, don't think that you have to completely give up on meditation altogether. You can embrace this form of active meditation, and you just use tools around you that you most connect with, and just associate, you know, and what you're actually doing when you're focusing on one thing. So say you were focusing on a crystal because you enjoy crystals for whatever reason. So you're just focusing on its energies and seeing what images come to mind and what feelings come to mind and color association and whatever. And what you're actually doing is you're not letting anything outside that experience stress you out anymore. So you are bringing your levels down to a calmer mental and physical state of being. And you start to learn more about yourself this way. You start to learn about how you process things, about how you think about things, all that sort of connection to self and spirit. I realise that this is probably a different approach from what a lot of people will say about meditation, because I really do feel the need for more active meditation. I can't just sit and go out of my go out and into the void, into the nothingness. I'm too active in my brain for that. Virgo maybe, don't know. But I think there is deep serenity and deep peace to be found in different ways that is viable for different people. So I encourage anybody to, you know, go and research every kind of meditation that you can find. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to meditate. I just want to sit here and say there are multiple ideas, there are multiple ways. Meditation and what it is evolving and changing. You know, even from a 1913 to a modern dictionary interpretation has changed. And in the medical profession, there are lots of different studies and information about how it's helpful for people and all this, that and thing. And this information is perfectly easily accessible. So I think active learning in this sense is really important, because you're going to have to find out what meditation is from this perspective, what meditation is from that perspective, what meditation is here, there and everywhere, and then finally what meditation is for you. And that's it for me for today. Many blessings.